Back at Watkins Glen, you're looking at now the 43rd place runner, Rusty Wallace, who was just on pit road moments ago. Marty, what's going on?
Well, Alan, the car was overheating. A lot of panic down here in the middle of the light pits. They came in, pulled every piece of tape they had on the front grille off. The car, again, was overheating for Rusty Wallace. I believe he's going to come back in just a moment. Let's see if we can get a word with Robin Pemberton. Robin, what's wrong with the car? What's wrong with the car?
It's just hot. I don't know what's going on. The water temperature is pegged.
Water temperature is pegged. I think they are going to come back down pit road now, try and put some cool water in it for Rusty Wallace. They had high hopes. This is a brand new car. They were running very well in practice, but it looks like his chance to win is now gone.
The mystery now is solved of where the water was coming from on the lens of the camera on Ron Fellows' car. It was, in fact, coming from the 2 car of Rusty Wallace.
So let's see if Rusty comes. Oh, look at the smoke.
Yeah, and I noticed that the last lap, there's a lot of smoke. I'm not sure he didn't do some damage to that motor running it that hot.
Does he come on to pit road? No. Goes on by. So maybe he's going to stay out and try and catch a caution since he's just in front of race leader Dale Jarrett.
There's a lot of smoke pouring out of those pipes right now.
It's Robbie Gordon, the 2nd place car. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, Alan, already wild things happening here at Watkins Glen. Rusty Wallace, the first victim. It gets wilder the longer we go. Remember the finish at Sonoma earlier this year? Tony Stewart won the race. Gordon's finished 2nd and 3rd. That was Jeff in 3rd. And Robbie Gordon finished 2nd. Kevin Harvick finished 14th in that race, but he was a factor down the stretch. In fact, if you ask the Gordon that drives the 7 car, he might say at Sonoma he was robbed.
Tony Stewart pulling away from Robbie Gordon. Robbie Gordon is spinning the tires. And Tony Stewart will win in the Save Mart Dodge 350.
You know, unfortunately, I guess Harvick was trying to make his lap up, and he tapped into me, got me sideways. 20 got by both of us. You know, it's racing. What comes around goes around.
As we've already talked about, Robbie Gordon is a driver on a mission. He is a relief driver in this race, subbing for Mike Skinner, who returns next week. What do you think it would mean to Robbie Gordon to win here? Here's what he thinks it would mean.
I think it would mean a lot. It would mean a lot for Richard Childress. Obviously, it'll help my Winston Cup career, you know, being a race winner. It is a road course, though, so, you know, I think that's maybe expected a little bit, but, you know, you still have to get to victory lane. You have to have good pit stops. You have to have good strategy, and I can't make any mistakes on the racetrack.
Robbie Gordon currently 2nd on the track. His best career finish is a 2nd place run. He wants to be number 1 at the Glen today. Let's go back to the action on the track.
You know, I'll tell you what. Robbie didn't get robbed.
Whoop, looks like
Joe went surfing there in the dirt. I don't think Robbie got robbed. I think Robbie lost that race for himself at Sears Point. He had the car, and I don't think he used his head. He should have let Harvick go earlier, and it would have been different. But I think here, he's learned from that mistake. He's very confident. I talked to him this morning. He wants this really bad. He's running the fastest car on the racetrack right now, so he's going to be tough today.
And Gordon running right now 1.8 seconds behind Dale Jarrett. You see Jarrett foreground and Gordon now background, and there's 3rd place Ricky Rudd. Rusty Wallace has just taken his car to the garage. There's Rusty.
And Jarrett is spun down in the dirt. The leader is in the dirt pile in turn 1.
I don't know what I hit, but it locked it up.
And the caution flag is out because he's stuck. Cannot get out of there. Oh, my goodness.
And yes, saw this yesterday. A lot of these guys are running into brake problems, and a lot of it was brake bias. He said I locked them up. Not sure if he locked the rears up or what, but there's a lot of cars that had a problem with that yesterday.
You see, and he can get, he's first gear, reverse. The car is not going anyplace. The only way out of this is with a wrecker.
And it probably will cost him a lap while they get the wrecker to him to pull him out.
So Robbie Gordon has one less bullet being shot at him today.
I don't know if I hit anything. If my brake pedal went all the way down, I don't know what happened there, guys.
Dale Jarrett
goes in the corner and said the brake pedal went all the way to the floor.
So the 2nd place man in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship is in the gravel trap.
Sorry, I hadn't had any enemy.
Let's take another look at what happened.
That's all I've been doing.
Let's go take a look at what happened to Dale Jarrett.
Now, see, him spinning like that means too much rear brake. You know, if you go down in there and you go in backwards, normally that means you have too much rear brake.
Tell you what, that car, when it caught that dirt, almost tipped over on its side. On board with Dale Jarrett. Listen.
You got wheel hop there. And that was too much rear brake. If you heard that, that's what wheel hop is. And when you do that, the only way you can get out of wheel hop, believe it or not, is you have to hit the gas. And it's hard to do when you're going barreling down into a corner and you get wheel hop and you're on the brakes and you're downshifting and you got to say, man, I got to hit the gas to get this thing freed up.
Tell him one more time what it sounded like. Oh, okay.
Now, problem for Dale Jarrett is right here, that critical front air valence on the car. When they try and pull it out of the gravel trap, it's going to bend that around.
He's going to be 2-3 laps down. He's got a lot of problems. Or will he get away with one lap?
I think he's going to get away with one lap right now.
So Robbie Gordon becomes the new leader.
They didn't do too much damage. They did a good job.
Tip the cap to the record crew. But those gravel traps are one of the greatest safety innovations ever put out at this Watkins Glen course. If he hadn't hit that gravel trap, he'd have clobbered the guardrail at a very high rate of speed.
Now, the only problem he's got to worry about is that gravel is very fine gravel, and it gets everywhere. It gets in your rotors. It gets in your brake calipers. It gets everywhere. So hopefully nothing will get stuck inside the rotors of the car.
It'll have to pump it up to the floor for some reason.
Did you say you had to pump the brakes to get a pedal?
And like I said, that's a problem I've been seeing and talking to these guys. The pedals are getting soft way earlier than we're used to during the race.
See, now he's not going very fast. He's feeling everything out to make sure that nothing was injured in that spin.
Right now it's solid as it can be.
And that's what happens. If you don't use them, if you come in and just let them sit, they get very hard. But if you're constantly using them, and you use them a lot here, you got to pump it. And man, it is hard to run a road course when you got to pump your brake pedal every time before going into a corner.
DJ, how was your...
So now Dale Jarrett is a lap down.
To the right. Right there. Everything was good. I had no problems with anything till I went right there. Okay. The forward bite was good there on hot tires.
He was running some incredible laps. As a matter of fact, the last lap that he ran was faster than he ran the first 2 or 3 laps. These cars were picking up speed. They started to average 118 miles per hour. That last lap he ran was like 119 before he went down in turn 1.
Coming to the stripe to complete lap number 19. Let's talk pit strategy. Do we see the leaders pit here?
I don't think so. They're going to make it on 2 stops. They're going to stop at lap 30, lap 60, and that's going to be it. Because if Robbie Gordon at 31 stops now and all these other cars stay on the racetrack, he's going to lose all that track position. They're going to wait until they have to stop. Now, the guys in the back, some of them may go in. Ron Fellows has a problem with his car. He's going to pit road to make some adjustments.
Fellows had fallen back to 9th place, Bill.
Allen, he had no choice. The car was way too loose to keep driving, so he's coming down pit road now. They'll make an air pressure adjustment and a chassis adjustment. These are the most precious seconds for Ron Fellows today. He has the talent, he has the equipment to win this race. The question is, does he have the pit crew? Several other cars on pit road. They've already changed lefts. Now they'll come around and change rights, reverse of a normal pit stop. To Dave Burns.
Jeff Burton is in, Bill. The car was a little bit tight, so they're going to add a half pound of air pressure to each rear tire to help him steer the car better. He's picked off a number of positions, and one by one here at a road course is the way to go as he swings the rear end around and heads down pit road. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
A little slow with the right rear tire for Ward Burton. He's down and away. He was complaining about his car being tight. They made an air pressure adjustment on the 22 car.
Well, Dale Jarrett is in, guys. As you can see, the car very dirty, but it looks like that's about it. No real damage on the front valence. Again, as Wally said, that was a concern. They pulled one piece of tape off the front grille. They're a little worried about the engine overheating now, but they're going to change 4 tires. They don't even make an adjustment. They check the rear brakes. As we talked about, maybe too much rear brake. They just went inside. Kevin Gilman, the rear tire changer, checked the rear brakes just to make sure they were okay, and they sent Dale Jarrett on his way.
Wally, how would they check the rear brakes to make sure they're okay? do these cars have heat strips across the calipers, and they look to make sure that they're operating at a certain temperature?
Well, they do, and sometimes they put temperature paint on the rotor. So that's probably what they were looking at. Like you said, they were looking at the temperature, make sure they weren't getting too much bias. There was too much heat in the back or the front.
So Dale Jarrett is back now in 42nd position. 1 lap down. Talk about going from the top to the bottom in a hurry.
All right, they made some adjustments on the 87 car, the chassis on the car, trying to get him a little bit better. We have a camera in the right rear. Take it off there. We see they jerk the rubber out to make that spring a little bit softer. Now they put the right rear back on. Car is gone. That was a left rear. No, this is the right rear. I looked at the camera this morning. It was the right rear.
And I think
this is backwards.
It's a road course.
It's a road course.
Ron is probably, I'm guessing, but knowing that these are road course guys, he's probably got one of the stiffest setups out here. The guys that have run Trans Am and different road race cars, they like a car that doesn't roll. They like a stiff car. So he's probably fairly stiff in the back of that car.
Another difference in running on a road course versus a normal track. The field is getting the one-to-go signal at this point on the speedway. That's about a half a lap from the start-finish line out in what they call the inner loop. So when they come to the stripe this time, they get the green flag in the restart. It's such a long, slow caution flag lap here. It's like 4 minutes for a caution flag lap at Watkins Glen. So they give them the one to go with actually a half a lap to go before the restart.
And Dale Jarrett's looking at all those cars.
All those cars plus a lap. Here's our NASCAR Busch Series update. No race for the division this weekend. They go back at it in Michigan next Saturday. You'll see it on TNT. Kevin Harvick with a point lead over Greg Biffle of 163. Truck Series raced earlier this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. Scott Riggs picked up the win and closed in on Joe Ruttman for their series championship. That's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series update. Jack Sprague was the point leader going into that one. His car stalled before the green flag, and they spent time behind the wall before the race even started.